So today we're going to talk about Donald Trump and the assassination attempt that was on his life on the weekend. I'm sure most of you guys saw it. Now, thankfully, Donald Trump is okay, and whatever your political background is or your views on the political situation in the US, I'm sure you are happy that obviously he is fine and he is okay to carry on in the election race. However, what came out quite clearly afterwards was actually how much the market was hoping that Donald Trump becomes the next president, and also what everybody would have been looking at and the domino effect if he would have been assassinated, what that would have caused on the stock market, because it would have been quite a dramatic time for the stock market, and this is what potentially could have happened if that was successful. So I hope you enjoyed the video, guys. Hit that like button. Let's get started. So I'm sure you've seen it over the weekend. There was an assassination attempt on Donald Trump. He was okay from this assassination attempt, but it was quite shocking to see something in modern day times, something like that. I think he was the 9th president to have an assassination attempt on him. Obviously he's okay, which whatever your political background is, I'm sure you are happy with that situation. But it was something crazy to see, and when I saw the headlines come out, I actually had to read a couple of times, like, I cannot believe we are seeing this in 2024. But it just shows you, like, there is always that potential for them shock events to happen. I think the last time we saw something so shocking to happen that potentially could have caused a big fallout worldwide politically and into the stock market was the whole COVID situation. When the COVID situation happened, we generally did not expect anything like that to happen. The stock market was fine worldwide, everything was fine, and then all of a sudden we saw the whole world change, businesses having to change. It was a very dramatic time, and I think the fallout from the Donald Trump assassination attempt, if that was successful, would have been very big, because what I am starting to realize is how much the stock market and also the CEOs of big businesses are actually trying to factor in the benefit of actually having Donald Trump come in at the back end of the year. And a lot of businesses now, I think, potentially are factoring in, maybe some of the share price rallies at the moment and the stock market doing okay, is the potential that they are factoring in a Donald Trump election win. Now, I've got to say, I actually saw that Donald Trump came out and thanked the US Secret Service from the event and how they tried to protect him during the event, and I was like, I wouldn't be thanking them. I think there'd be a big inquest at the moment about how this happened, because I don't know if any of you guys have actually seen the video or where the actual shooter were. He actually got quite close to where Donald Trump was. He was able to go in clear sight and climb on top of a building. It wasn't like he was inside a building. And as well as that, there was actually spectators that actually pointed out, like, hey, I actually think this guy is actually trying to assassinate Donald Trump, and they wasn't able to deal with it. I think there should be a very big investigation on how this actually got to this sort of point here. But anyway, we'll go on with what we're looking at. Now, there was a lot of CEOs. Tim Cook at Apple, Microsoft, Satterton Dell, General Motors, Alphabet, Meta's Mark Zuckerberg, who doesn't have the best relationship actually with Donald Trump. Amazon's Andy Jassy, obviously Elon Musk, he's been very open and supportive around Donald Trump. But it was quite surprising to see a lot of these CEOs that tend to stay out of political events to actually come out and tweet this, which once again kind of gets the point of view is that they were kind of going to the point of view of supporting Donald Trump, which is not something that you would normally see. And the reason why is maybe because people are so scared of what a potential 5 years under Biden would do to the stock market. Obviously, it's already worrying to see the signs of Biden in right now as the president. Imagine another 5 years of a Biden presidency. I mean, I don't know if you guys saw the one the other day where he was on stage with Zelensky, the president of Ukraine, and he basically called him Putin. It was like, oh, welcome onto the stage, the president of Ukraine, Vladimir Putin, and he was like, oh no, and I've said the wrong thing. It's actually scary to see the state that Joe Biden is in at the moment, and he's, you know, at the moment in running for presidency for another 5 years. You know, it's scary to think where he potentially could be in another 5 years' time, and that's maybe one of the reasons why potentially a lot of these CEOs are now coming out and supporting Trump after the event. But there's also a lot of other things that are under the surface why a lot of companies at the moment are hoping for a Donald Trump win and maybe factoring in a Donald Trump win. Now, some of you guys are quite new to the stock market. For me, obviously, I've been in the stock market for quite a while now. I'm getting towards a veteran stage. Maybe not a veteran stage, but definitely a bit of an experienced stock market investor. And what Donald Trump did is when he came in, he basically did a lot of tax cuts for a lot of businesses. And the corporation tax went down massively. A lot of corporation tax rates went down to 21%. So these companies had very low tax rates, and their profitability went up a lot. Because the profitability for a lot of these companies went up a lot, they suddenly looked a lot cheaper. The stock market rallied. The stock market was at all-time highs under Donald Trump. And what they were able to do is they were able to do a ton of buybacks or dividend increases. And as soon as Donald Trump basically came in, you saw in 2018, buybacks set an annual record in 2018 under Donald Trump, and they were up 53%. Yeah, that's correct. 53% from the prior year, which is insane. There was a major increase in share buybacks because all these big corporations had record profitability, their valuations looked cheap, and to reward shareholders, they threw a lot into dividends and they threw a lot into buybacks. And that's one of the reasons why a lot of these businesses are probably at the moment, or these corporations, and you've seen a lot of these CEOs come out and support Donald Trump at the moment because they're secretly actually probably wanting Trump to win, because this is one thing that he did for the stock market. That's why the stock market got to all-time highs, and their profitability got to all-time highs, and share buybacks got to all-time highs. The other thing that potentially is that Biden, if he was to stay in, he's potentially looking at hiking up the tax rate. So you would see potentially the total opposite. From that point of view, you would probably see lower profitability on the bottom line, lower share buybacks. So that's potentially something that would affect if Biden was in as well. But the other thing that people are looking at is a lot of companies at the moment are screaming out for the Federal Reserve to cut their interest rates. At the moment, they keep saying we're holding on, we're waiting for more data, we're waiting for more data. And a lot of companies feel like there should probably be a cut. A lot of companies are starting to factor in cuts. And personally for me, I think the Federal Reserve should be cutting rates. However, they are not doing it at the moment, and a lot of companies are starting to feel it. The economy is getting weaker out there. You're seeing a lot of companies like Nike, Starbucks reporting weak earnings. And a lot of people are like, come on, you've got to start cutting rates. Now, in 2019, when Donald Trump was in there, he absolutely hammered, and only you guys that were in the market probably remember this, he absolutely hammered Jerome Powell to cut the interest rates, and he caved in. He caved in. In 2019, they lowered the interest rates, and Trump was still at them at lowering the interest rates. And even though the economy was slowing down slightly, it was nowhere near as weak as what it is right now. So Trump actually got the Federal Reserve to cut interest rates when the economy was actually a lot stronger than where it is right now. You know, imagine if Trump was in right now and the Federal Reserve was at these interest rates. Imagine the pressure that it would put on, and probably the pressure that it was on a lot of companies. And actually, me personally feels like if Trump was actually in power right now, I believe the Federal Reserve would have cut the interest rates with Trump in as president, as he would have been absolutely hammering them as we saw in 2019. And that's actually where Jerome Powell caved in. So as well as a point of view where a lot of these big corporations want cheaper corporate rates so that they have more profitability, they're able to do record share buybacks. A lot of businesses at the moment are also wanting Trump in because they are hoping that they get those interest rate cuts. Now, the last reason kind of goes down to you as a personal opinion. Trump says he can end the Russia-Ukraine war in one day. I don't know about that. That goes down to your opinion. If you think he can do that, I don't know. I'm not saying if he can or if he can't. That's also another thing that people are factoring in, and that goes more down to a opinion-based situation. The rest of the ones that I've been showing you are actually quite, factual based. This is opinion. He says he can end it. Who knows? Who knows if he can end it? But obviously that's the cherry on the top, that if he was able to end the Ukraine and Russia situation, obviously that would be good for the US with the amount of money they give Ukraine, and also for world trade. Being able to operate more than likely with Russia again would be something that they would also help the economy and obviously worldwide. But that's also something that people are looking at. But with the other factors in place, with the corporation tax, the buybacks, you can see why that this would have been a really bad situation, because it looks like, as we've seen, a lot of these leaders of these corporations want Donald Trump in, and with the support that came out, maybe a few of them showed their hand a little bit that they are actually hoping secretly that he does come in as president. What would have happened if the assassination attempt was successful is this would have thrown a massive curveball in the whole election race worldwide as well. And also what a lot of businesses are potentially starting to factor in as they believe Donald Trump will win the election. That would have also shocked a lot of businesses as well, and the stock market, and it would have been a major event. And I do believe that if Donald Trump was assassinated on Monday, as you guys are seeing this video, I believe it would have been a very, very big red day in the stock market, and the longer term effects could potentially be even bigger on the stock market and businesses in the next 3, 4, 5 years, as well as maybe a few companies are starting to factor in some of these changes that potentially could happen anyway. So thought I'd make a video on this about potentially just the awareness that you have to be. Like, sometimes you think everything's fine, and then obviously these big events come out of nowhere and can change everything. But also I thought I'd point a few things out that potentially you might not have known about: the interest rates, the buybacks, the corporation rates that is quietly going on there in the background. This isn't really something that a lot of businesses speak about publicly because they don't want to show a political position, but it's also something that potentially they are factoring in that they don't mention as well. So I hope you enjoyed the video, guys. If you could, hit that like button. If you're new around here and you found the video helpful, subscribe, and I'll see you in a bit.